but I just realized I forgot a spoon for my coffee, and I kind of need it because it has butter and oil in it, so I'll be right back. Hello, and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm your host, Cyrenex, and I am joined by my good friends, Gristle and 9 of 12. How you guys doing today?
Can't complain. Can't complain.
So, yep, we're back again. We're still here. We're still doing stuff, I guess.
Somehow.
Yeah. Oh, so how you guys been doing the last couple weeks? Well, what have you guys been doing the last couple weeks, I should say?
Yeah, nothing. School started, like we were just talking about. So it's just been constant, like schoolwork and busy work, and I'm not even taking like a full load. So next semester it's going to be a serious
full load.
It's almost missed that one. Good one. Good catch.
Yeah. Apparently I'm like 4.5.
Nah, that's what happens with the young kids. You know, they bring you down. And
yeah.
I don't know that at 4.5 that language has crept in yet.
True.
Right, but there's like a middle.
Maybe
like
12.
There's like a middle ground. I was about to say middle ground, but that's not my accent. There's a middle ground. You know, the kids are so young and Sean's so old, so he kind of meets him in the middle, and now he's got like preteen sensibilities. School, man.
Yeah.
So that's been like my life for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dealing with my kids going back to school.
Yeah. We've got that going on next Tuesday, thank God. But
so something that I think is funny about the whole back to school season is someone posted this video. This woman is like just going through this store and talking about how she's amazed that people are complaining about having to get all the school supplies.
I love that. I reposted that.
Yeah. That's a hilarious video. You're just going around just like, you know what? If you need a yellow binder in order for my kids to get out of the house and go and for you to teach them, I will get you a freaking yellow binder.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like, and she just like
she's
started
got the
picking up
little
like
mini
random
bottle of liquor at one point.
Yeah. And it's like, she's like, you know what, teacher? I think you need a microwave. I'm going to get you a microwave. It's like, I thought that was hilarious.
I enjoyed it very much. It was like, I just want these kids out my face.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, things have been interesting at work too, because we had a bunch of part-timers that are leaving now. A couple of them are going back to school. A couple of them are transferring because they had to commute to work, so they're transferring to another one that's closer. So all of a sudden we went from having like 5 or 6 part-timers to having like 2. One of which is me. So
now you've got a lot more work on your hands.
Yeah, it's nice because I'm actually getting more hours. The problem is it's just a lot more work, and it's work. So.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna have a huge changeover in about a year and a half at my job too. We got like 5 people retiring from our staff of like 8 or 9. So it's gonna be awful. I'm gonna be so swamped, but at least that's a year out.
Yeah. Anyways, we can probably go ahead and get into our water cooler talk. Hello, everyone. This is Cyrenex from Postland, and I just wanted to chime in real quick with a programming note that we forgot to mention during the show. We're going to be running a sort of promotion on our Patreon for the month of September. If we're able to get 5 or more new patrons during the month of September, I will do a special Halloween live stream. Specifically, I will be playing a couple hours of Alien Isolation by myself at midnight on Halloween night, which is a prime recipe to see me on the verge of peeing my pants multiple times. So if that appeals to you and you enjoy what we do and would like to support us, you can at patreon.com/parttimegamers. And we get those five new patrons, and we'll get that live stream all set. So yeah, that was pretty much it. So back to the show. And today we're going to, we'll start off with Zach. You got yours in, so we'll start off.
I'm
with you.
ready.
What do you got?
I'm ready. Let's talk about Half-Life 3. Let's talk about it and the conspiracy that revolves around it.
And is it actually going to happen?
So, right. Okay. Now, it's a big joke. Haha. Everybody, Half-Life 3 is never going to come out. It's the white whale of gaming, at least for PC gaming. It's not coming out. So this the series writer Mark Laidlaw actually leaked a script, I guess, or like a plot of episode 3, or the Half-Life 2 episode 3, the new one, which is not out and supposedly will never come out. And this was leaked not too long ago, within a week, maybe a week and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
like a week ago.
Right. So the internet, or at least Reddit, lost its mind over it, and I don't blame them, because nobody expects it to ever come out, or had expected it to ever come out. But I mean, it's a pretty good. It's just amazing to see that somebody who was involved in the project at one point is actually thinking about it, because there's been nothing. There's been no news whatsoever from any front. And when where did they did this? They recently announced Valve recently announced some new games and hyped them all up, and their big reveal was this game called Artifact, which is a Dota 2 card game. And people were seeing red for the most part. Some people welcomed it. There's a lot of Dota fans out there, and I'm not going to knock it. Blizzard's got Hearthstone, and that's very successful. There's a Bethesda one now, I guess, for like a Skyrim based one, or I don't know if it's Skyrim or it's just Bethesda, but they've got their own card games, and now Valve's getting in on that too, and I don't blame them. But it does suck for them to build up something like that, and everybody's hoping for something big, and it's this Dota 2 card game.
Yeah.
So then this guy leaks this thing, and now it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, but at the same time, the reaction for Hearthstone when it was announced was pretty much the same. Like, they were expecting this big reveal, and then they got a card game. But
it is different, though. Because Blizzard has their big product is clearly World of Warcraft. I mean, that's the big one right now, and has been the big one for a long time. And they're continuing to create stuff for that. Half-Life hasn't seen a game in, long enough that everybody was like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So, and actually, what does this say? Their last like big story-driven experience from Valve was Portal 2, which was in 2011. Portal 2 was great, don't get me wrong, but that's a long time to go without
6 years
a big game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Him leaking a script like that does not confirm or deny whether or not it's actually happening or Valve's behind it. But it is kind of amazing that he's got the plot all worked out. Maybe it's something he had for a long time and he's just now leaking it. I don't know. It does seem kind of interesting that this came out not long after their card game announcement. Maybe it's somebody actually trying to do like damage control. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I'm excited to at least keep my ears open and keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Or they cut his department's funding and he's trying to create public demand to release it.
It could very well.
The next step
be.
is he goes on to Kickstarter to get
for Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Yeah. It could be. I don't even know, like, I was looking over this article, and someone's going to correct me, I'm sure, but I don't even know if he's employed by Valve anymore, or
I
have no idea. But hey, he was involved, and it's good enough for me. So fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it if it happens.
Cool. All right, how about you, September?
Well, been wrapping up on the legendary Pokemon Birds ended today, and news is that, August 31st, but by me, because of the way they release, they start over in the Pacific time zone, and raids are over by the time we get here. So tomorrow, we'll start having legendary Pokemon dogs.
Dogs?
Yeah, Raikou, Entei, Suicune, or whatever, Suicune, I don't know. But they're going to be regional. So the electric type, Raikou, will be in the Americas. and Entei is in Europe and Africa, and Suicune is in Asia Pacific. And then September 30th they rotate, and October 30th 31st they rotate, I guess.
Okay.
Is this like going to promote international travel or something?
Oh, sure. No, we've been running around like maniacs in big groups for legendaries, but I don't think anyone's going to go quite that far. Basically, it gives you a month to, help
Hunt
each other,
down.
keep an eye out, track down those raids, go in a group. And while that's going on, they're also going to be testing some more of this EX battle. Pardon my kids feeding the cats.
It's all right.
It's this exclusive raid battle situation that I guess that's how they're going to do Mewtwo and Mew. And those you have to be invited to. I've heard a little bit about the field tests, but I guess they're going to expand that a little bit. There's eligibility requirements. They're going to change the frequency, time, location. And it seems to be based on some kind of how many people are playing in the area. Like you're all together, you're doing a raid, and then if there's a bunch of people in the area, it might pop right there where you are, and you get a chance to go for those, super legendaries. So I'm really excited to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
At this point,
Hopefully.
I mean, that's all. A lot of that is rumor, and who knows, because they tested it and then they stopped doing it. And they test and they stop doing it.
Sure.
But they're gonna send out the first EX raid passes soon. TM.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as early as September 6th, we'll be able to try it out. That's supposed to be the first Mewtwo. So I want Mewtwo for my birthday. Okay.
That's your hope.
Yes.
Nice.
I think I deserve Mewtwo for my birthday.
That's not too much to ask.
Well, clearly you do. You have 2 podcasts, so obviously.
Right?
Yeah.
I was so annoyed at Niantic today. My husband still doesn't have Articuno. And I ran down to an Articuno raid and met some people. And I don't know why they do this. It was like the very last day to get legendary birds, and they released an update. Every time they release an update, they have server trouble.
Sure.
So there was 7 of us ready to go, and we could only get 4 in at a time, and it kept crashing. Where you would load the game, and then you couldn't see the gym, and only half you could get into the gym if you could see it. And then the network errors were popping up. And it's funny because it comes out as an error on your phone, like network error. It's like, all right, I've got AT&T, you have Verizon, you have Sprint. This isn't a network error. This is a Niantic error.
Right.
Not anybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the last opportunity I had to get Articuno for Rob, and it couldn't go. We ended up leaving. We couldn't get enough people into the raid to even try it.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, because it's been stable all month. Release this on the last day to get it.
One time you actually want it to work solid.
When it actually counts.
Updates.
Yeah, that blows.
I mean, we had tried, I don't know how many, because he did it the first time when just Articuno was out at the launch, did it a bunch of times. And then every time it's popped recently, like I'll run out for him if he's working and try, and he just hasn't been able to catch it after the raid all that time.
Yeah.
It sucks. Sometimes it's just, that's the luck, I guess, though,
Yeah.
I guess, but man, they should give some credit to people who
actually try, like
go around to a lot of the raids.
Yeah.
Especially if you dump some money to get raid passes.
Yeah, maybe they should put some kind of a system in there where it recognizes it and you like gain points and you can spend it on something.
Yeah, like the odds should be, in your favor eventually somehow.
Exactly.
I still can't.
So that's my game news.
Yeah, I still can't get Pokemon Go to work on my phone.
Yeah, you need a new phone, dude. That's it, pretty much.
Yeah. If I could afford it, I would definitely get a new phone. It's just I can't afford it right now.
Right.
It's like, how people cringe whenever they drop their phone, and it's just like hoping that it doesn't break. I'm the opposite. I drop my phone, I hope it just shatters.
Why don't you just like throw it out the window then?
Because
just toss it, man.
It needs to be an accident, so I can warrant getting a new phone.
It could still be an accident. I'll tell you what. Send it to me. and I will do my best to make sure that it does not get into an accident. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. There will be no accidents. Very, very sure hands.
Yeah. All right, and what I'm bringing to the table today is some of the BlizzCon Gamescom announcements and what they showed, because Gamescom was I believe 2 weeks ago now, or last week, I think, something like that.
Yes.
Last week.
Yes.
And I think I mentioned a couple of the potential announcement that they were going to make at Gamescom. Well, now I've got some confirmed stuff, the stuff they've announced. New map for the two games I'm most interested in right now are Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm. In Overwatch,
No way.
Yeah,
Really, you?
Yeah, big surprise there.
All of Gamescom. Sean only wants Blizzard.
Well, yeah, obviously. I actually purposely looked for just straight up just regular Gamescom announcements from a bunch of stuff, and like honestly, none of them I really cared about.
I found a good article about board games they did there.
Really? I did
I
not
heard
see
something
that.
about that. I heard something about that.
It was an Ars Technica article. You can find it on the latest Geek Girls cast, actually.
Oh, cool.
Take a look. Really cool, like Fallout board game. I'm all
Oh,
over
really?
Nice. That's sweet.
I'll have to check out some of these. But anyways, I'm a Blizzard fanboy anyway,
Yes, you are.
yeah. But in Overwatch especially, they're mixing things up quite a bit. They're going to be adding a new map called Junkertown, which is it's basically the home of Junkrat and Roadhog. So it's got a big Mad Max feel to it and everything. It looks really interesting. So they're gonna add that new map, and they're also reworked Mercy and Diva. For Mercy, they've actually changed her ultimate. It is no longer Resurrection. It is now called Valkyrie, which for about 20 seconds after she activates it, she's just better at everything, pretty much.
Huh.
And they actually turned Resurrection into one of her basic abilities. So it no longer has to be charged up. It's on a cooldown, but it's only single target. It doesn't give her immunity or anything like that. But it makes it so that she'll actually be in the fight trying to heal people and everything. Because apparently the tactics used to be that she would charge up her ultimate, purposefully leave the fight, wait for her team to die, and then come back and resurrect everyone. So,
But I really like the res, man.
Yeah, it was an interesting, which is why they still kept it. It's in a form, but just the form it was in before was not beneficial to the game itself, because it promoted.
I see this change as making her feasible in the brawl thing they got going, where she really wasn't. None of the healers were, right?
Well, yes and no, but even in just regular gameplay, even quick match or competitive, is the biggest problem with Resurrection was either if you were playing at low level, it was very oppressive, but if you were playing at pro level, it was basically useless, because it was a very predictable thing. Because again, Mercy would all of a sudden disappear from the battlefield, wait for everyone to die, come in, and resurrect everyone. So if you...
Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying what they were saying in the articles. But so they changed it because, like I said, if in the pro scene, it's like, okay, she's going to do her res, wait for her to do her res, and then everyone else on your team unloads their ultimates and kills everyone again.
Yeah.
And so I messed around a little bit with actually these reworks are on the PTR already, so you can try them out. And
wow,
it just feels good to play Mercy again. Like with the old Resurrection, like I said, you wanted to just disappear from the battlefield and wait for your team to die. With this version of Mercy, you want to actually actively heal. You want to go around and you can hit Valkyrie, and it makes your healing beam chain to allies and stuff like that, and increases range and stuff like that. And it just makes her a better healer, which is what she's supposed to be, not just a res bot.
There's more
So
utility for her now.
yeah,
More stuff
Yeah.
for her to actually do.
yeah, and
I
it's
was
actually
surprised to hear that at high level, people were not doing a good job of killing her because I was always getting ganked as Mercy, pulling off
yeah.
that just disappearing when she doesn't have any stealth. You know, little
Yeah,
trick.
but it's, like I said, it's just like just leaving the battlefield, just going off somewhere and waiting for everyone to
Mhm.
die, and then trying to swoop in and get the resurrection. Oh, but yeah, is I really like the way they're changing it now. How it's just a regular ability on a cooldown, and it only affects one person. Oh, they also did a rework of Diva. Her defense matrix lasts half as long, but they gave her the ability. It's a micro missiles attack that, and she can also attack while boosting and stuff like that. So it just gives her a little bit more offensive capabilities, so that she's not just constantly doing defense matrix all the time. Oh, so it gives her a little bit more of an aggressive play style. And in Heroes of the Storm, they revealed Kel'Thuzad as the next hero, which has been one of the most requested heroes to date for the last like 2 years.
Not surprising.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he's kind of in the Warcraft universe. He's kind of one of a quintessential character.
He's kind
So
of a big deal.
yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, he's already on the public test realms as well. Uh, I got to fool around a little bit with him. And he's an interesting character. He's got quite a bit of damage if you can chain his abilities together. He's really kind of combo focused, and he's also got a lot of slows and roots and stuff like that. But he doesn't have a lot of health, and he doesn't have a lot of ways of escaping. So, but he's kind of an interesting hero. Be interesting to play him out. But and with that, it's time for us to get back to work. And this week we are talking about the game Star Realms. I've actually first saw this game on tabletop, which, full disclosure, we're probably just going to be taking a bunch of games from tabletop and talking about them on our show because I'm starting to run out of ideas and they talk about really good games. Yeah, Star Realms was a game that was on there, and it's developed by Robert Daughtry and Darwin Castle, published by White Wizard Games. There is a physical version of the game, which is on Amazon for about $13.61 as of yesterday when I checked. But more importantly and more accessibly, there's a digital version of the game that you can get on Steam, Android, or iOS. And the cool thing about it is there is a free version of it. The free version allows you to gives you like one chapter of a little campaign mode, gives you the ability to play against AI and stuff like that. But there is a full version available as well, that is $4.99, which gives you all of the features. It gives you yet another chapter of the campaign. Opens up online play, pass and play version of the game, plus higher difficulties of the AI.
I would
And
say I think it's worth noting at this point that the free version is, in my opinion, it's quite worth it. I mean,
yeah,
even just the free version, it's worth it. Even just to like, if you're going to pony up the money and buy it, go ahead and do it because I mean, you get it's some pretty cool features that come with it. But I've only been playing the free version, and as mobile games go, especially, I'm having a blast. Like
yeah,
I've played a lot of mobile games lately, looking for a good one, and this is one of the ones that stands out to me as um, it actually has some staying power and it's
yeah,
it's fun. So
yeah, definitely. And one thing that I think is a really cool factor of getting the full version, in a lot of games you get when it has multiple ports and you get on one version is like, okay, if you want to try to get on, like you get on computer, if you want to get on mobile, you have to pay it again and everything like that. With this, you purchase it on any platform, you get the full version on every platform.
yeah, that there are so many game companies and stuff that need to take a hint from that.
Yeah. Because, yeah, like I got the full version on Steam and it unlocked the full version on my phone.
Yeah,
So I think that is a huge asset to them, is the fact that you unlock something on one version, you unlock it on every version of it. Um, and To me, paying $5 to get the full version wasn't really a thing, especially since it gives it on everything. So,
Right.
um, but going into the gameplay, Star Realms it's a deck building game for 2 players. So one thing that it's kind of interesting. A lot of times we don't really talk about only 2-player games. This is one of them though. Its base version is only one-on-one. There are rules to have more players, but the thing is, in for every 2 additional players, you have to add an additional deck. So it once you start getting into the higher multiplayer versions of the game, you need to have people add additional decks to it, and so it's a little bit more difficult to do it that way. It's not just the one deck. But in the game, uh, kind of a couple before we start getting into like the setup and everything, there's a couple key terms that people need to know, which are the basic resources that you're going to be working with in the game, which are trade, combat, and authority. Trade is what you use to buy cards. We'll get into that in a second. Combat's what you use to attack with, and authority is basically your life points. So if you
Respect my authority.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So if you get knocked down to 0 authority, you lose. Go from there. So starting with the setup of the game, players start with a very basic deck of 10 cards, which are 2 Vipers, which add 1 combat, and 8 Scouts, which add 1 trade. You also start with 50 authority. Once you get those 2 cards are very, very basic cards, the most basic cards you'll get, and both players start with that base. And that's one thing that's interesting about the shuffle building game in general is actually building the deck as you go. But you both players start with that base. Then you shuffle the trade deck, place 5 cards from it face up, and that makes your trade row. The trade row always has 5 cards in it. So as soon as 1 card leaves the trade row, you replace it with a new card from the trade deck. There's also an unaligned ship called the Explorer ship that's always available. So there's technically 6 cards in the trade row, and one of them is always the Explorer. After that, you determine who goes first. That player draws 3 cards from their own deck and for their first turn, and then the second player draws 5 cards for their first turn. Then you can actually get into playing. Play takes place in 3 phases: main phase, discard, and draw phase. And the main phase is where you do basically everything. So that's where you play your cards, where you buy cards, that's where you attack, use card abilities, etc., so on and so forth. And now, while we're talking about the cards, there's 2 different kinds of cards that they behave differently. There are ships and there are bases. So like the Vipers and the Scouts that you already have in your beginning deck, those are ships. You don't start with any bases in your deck. Ships are 1-turn things. You play them, they use their abilities, and then they're discarded during the discard phase. Bases are a little bit different. They stay into play until they are destroyed. The bases have a defense value on the bottom right-hand corner, and the player needs to meet or exceed that number during their combat in order to destroy the base. It's kind of a Magic the Gathering style. It doesn't have health. You need to do all your damage at once, all at one time, in order to destroy it. There are also certain bases that are designated as outposts, which, if you're familiar with Hearthstone, they function kind of like taunt minions. You have to destroy the outpost first before you can attack anything else. Among those, with all of these cards, they have different abilities. There's 3 basic abilities. There's basic, there's an ally ability, and there's scrap abilities. Basic abilities are just active when the card is played. So, like the +1 combat or the +1 trade, or there are cards that give you additional authority, stuff like that. Those just become if it doesn't have any symbols next to it, they just become active when you play the card. Ally abilities activate when cards of matching factions are played on the same turn. So if it has a faction symbol next to it, that means that you have to play another card of that same faction and you get that additional ability. And there are 4 different factions. The Trade Federation, which is blue, Blob, which is green. Yes, they actually have a faction called the Blob.
I love the Blob faction. I love it.
They have funny names like the Blob Wheel.
Yeah. Or just like, the Blob Wheel, just Blob World, and stuff like that.
That's a good, that's a base, isn't it? The Blob World?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. You have the Machine Cult, which is red, and you have the Star Empire, which is yellow. So for those abilities, it'll have one of the symbols next to it, to that ability on the body of the card. You have to play another card from that faction, and it will activate that ability. And last ability is the Scrap ability, which is an ability that activates when you scrap the card, which scrapping means you remove it from the game. Which can be kind of interesting with some of the... Because there's a bunch of cards that there's only one copy of it in the deck, and some of them have scrap abilities. So that means you're just going to use it once for that game.
Hey, it could be useful, though. Last-ditch effort.
Yeah, it could depending on what the circumstance is. If you scrap the card and it gives you the last 5 combat you need to win, then there you go.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But so those are kind of a breakdown of the actual cards, the ships, the bases, what kind of stuff they can do. And then during the discard phase, all the ships that you've played and all the cards left in your hand are put into your discard pile. And all of the remaining, if you have any leftover combat or trade, it's lost for that turn. So the next turn you start from the beginning.
It's really friendly about warning you if you're, neglecting to do something. Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah. In the digital version, it gives you a lot of prompts. It does. Yeah, even okay, I'm about to use combat to destroy a base. It'll actually come and say, hey, you have an ability on one of your cards that can destroy bases. Do you want to use that instead? It's actually very good at giving you those prompts.
One of the things that I wish that they did differently, though, is when you've got a trade bot or the missile bot, I think. Is that what it's called? Where you have to play that first before you can play anything else.
Well,
found myself. No, it literally. I mean, it was forcing me to play. It says you play the trade bot first. You have to play it first.
Well, if you just press play all, it'll do that. Yeah, but you can still drag the cards into play, and you can do that in any order.
Oh, can you? So it doesn't have to be the missile bot. You can do it. You can actually do it whenever you want.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder why they have the feature in there for when you click play all, it forces you to do it, or it wants you to do the other one first. Because I just normally just hit play all because I'm like, okay, I like everything here. Why wouldn't I use it? That's the other thing the other question that I have about the game is is there, and maybe I'm just playing it differently than you are, or maybe I'm playing it wrong, but it seems like you always want to play everything you've got.
Yeah. I mean, for the most, I cannot see any reason why you won't just play everything.
Yeah. It's all, you get all of those cards, and even if they're crappy, it's better than not doing anything.
Yeah.
So you always want to be playing something.
Yeah.
I think I understand why that feature's there, though. Because playing those cards requires a discard, and the discard has to be from your hand.
Ah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, because then if you have nothing in your hand,
then... you can also do that for things in your discard pile as well.
Yeah, unless you don't have a discard pile, which I have run into before, where I didn't have a discard pile, and then it's you have to discard from your hand, and I was like, oh shoot, I don't want to play that then.
Yeah.
So I guess the only time you wouldn't
well, the
play
thing is,
card...
it's still optional. You don't have to discard something if you play it. It says you may.
Right, you can say discard none.
Yeah.
And then don't activate the ability.
Yeah.
Which kind of blows, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do if you need the card out.
Yeah, programming wise, it can really screw up the turn order. Though I can see that's why they want you to do it first.
Yeah.
And actually, we're starting to get into some of the strategies. So just the last part during the draw phase, you draw 5 cards. And if your draw pile is depleted, you just shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. Something else I forgot to mention, which kind of ties into this: whenever you buy a card, from the trade row, for the most part, there are certain special abilities that allow you to do differently, but for the most part, you actually put it into your discard pile.
Right.
So part of the
So it won't come in for a
strategy,
little while.
yes, part of the strategy. Oh, now getting back into some of the strategy, especially with the different factions. One of the things that the machine cult uh, is really good at is actually scrapping cards, like we're talking already about. It allows you to scrap a card from either your hand or your discard pile, and it's a really interesting strategy because it thins your deck, which is kind of counterintuitive at times, but it's a very good tactic to thin your deck
Right.
because
Because then you
then
have a high turnover.
yeah, you can start going through your deck quacker.
Quackly.
Yeah, more quickly, or just quicker. Wow, English words. Why?
Well, that tactic definitely goes against like conventional card game wisdom.
Yeah, to a
Because
degree.
most of the time, like in Magic at least, you generally don't want to thin your deck out unless you've got a deck that's specifically built to play off of that. But for the most part, you
Yeah,
don't want to lose all the cards in your deck.
yeah,
Well, once you're starting to get happy with the strength of the cards in your hand and you have a good balance, it's a good way. You can eliminate the little ones
That's right.
yeah,
and keep a closer track on the order of what you're probably going to draw next for the
yeah.
Yeah.
big ones.
It makes it so that you're able to get to your better cards more often,
Yeah.
which can be a very good tactic. So it's like, yeah, I only have 10 cards in my deck, but all of them have ridiculous attack and,
Right.
really good special abilities and stuff like that. So, you know, at first glance, the
Pumping
machine
out
cult
damage.
might seem kind of counterintuitive, but thinning your deck really does help out a lot in this game. Just
Well,
get
it
rid of some
can.
of the fluff.
It can if you have good cards.
Yeah, that's true too.
I've run into a problem where I'm like discarding stuff in the assumption that I've got some good stuff and I don't, and then I'm like, oh well,
Yeah,
I guess I'm screwed.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
But but yeah, that's each of the four factions has kind of a different specialty to it. Like the Machine Cult is the only one that has this discard or this scrap mechanic. The Blob faction pretty much is just raw strength. They
yeah,
have some of the highest combat combat stats on their cards and everything.
and consequently their cards cost a lot too if you're going to buy them from the trade row. Generally,
Typically, yeah. Oh, but yeah, they're usually well worth it.
oh
Um,
yeah,
Trade Federation is the only faction that actually allows you to regain authority. So they're not quite as powerful combat wise, but they do allow you to have a little bit more longevity, which is nice. Um, and the Star Empire pretty much, I think, focuses mostly on deck manipulation and hand manipulation. They have a
yeah,
lot of draw mechanics, and more importantly, they have a lot of uh, they have a lot of forcing your opponent to discard from cards from their hand. So that can be very powerful because all of a sudden you're basically making your opponent play with four or three cards instead of their normal five,
right,
which could be very helpful at times.
devastating
Yeah,
to them.
especially if that's something that you're able to do continually. You have a
Yeah,
couple turns of just like, okay, I'm making you discard two cards at the beginning of your turn. You can start really getting a an advantage that way.
right.
Uh, so what do you guys think about this? Just have either of you really played any sort of deck building game where you're building your deck as you play?
Yes.
I think so.
I play tested one with a bunch of heroes at Nerdtacular.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else is deck building.
Is Sentinels of the
Yeah.
Multiverse a deck building?
No,
Are
it's
you
not.
building it as you play?
No. Oh.
There's a game that's like that we played though.
Uh.
Where there was.
Smash Up is a shuffle
Not
building game, but
Yeah, not. I mean, Smash Up's that's different because your deck's built like before you start, not as you're
yeah.
going.
Yeah, as far as I know, this is the first actual deck building game I've played where you have to buy cards and start building your deck from that. The only other prominent one I know of is Legendary, which is like Marvel Heroes.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, which is I think it's the same basic thing where you're building your deck and trying to defeat villains and stuff like that.
What about Munchkin?
No,
That has an interesting. It has
well,
it has elements of it. It's not you're not building an entire deck, but if you
yeah,
consider everything that you have out in front of you as your deck,
uh,
then it is a deck building game, and it is built as you
not
play because
not
everybody draws from the same
really.
pile.
Yeah, that's more like a hand building because you're not
I
you're
mean,
not building
it
your own draw
is.
deck.
No, I know.
I mean that I think that's the big difference is with this you're actually building a deck rather
Oh,
than just a hand.
there's definitely some key differences. I think that's probably the closest thing that I've played to this before, though.
Yeah, maybe.
At least that mechanic wise, not yeah, it's not anything like Star Realms,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. I think it's just in general the deck building mechanic. I think is really cool because it forces you to really strategize
right,
and it's like you have to try to think about like okay what cards do I already have in here, how do they mesh well with the cards I already have, or how
yeah,
they're in the trade row and stuff like that. You really need to think of okay, do I want to try to go whole hog and get like really powerful faction bonuses, the
yeah.
ally abilities and stuff like that, or do I want to try to get cards that are just good on their own but not necessarily great if combined with something. And so as like the times a lot of the times that I've played I try to focus at first on just cards that are just good on their own.
Sure.
Like there's one particular card for the Star Empire. I believe it's just called the Survey Ship, where
Yes.
it just gives you a little bit of
Scrap.
trade
Yeah,
and
trade.
draw a card, and it's pretty cheap. I think it's like two or three trade or something like that.
I think it's two.
Yeah, but it's a really low cost draw card,
I
and
wonder if the physical version of this game plays a whole heck of a lot slower because
oh
I know that it's going to play slower just by the nature of it. But with how
yeah
much that's going on in the digital version, I bet that a physical round of
yeah.
this takes like
I mean
forever.
that's one thing that I kind of wish there was a setting for how the speed that the AI plays.
Oh, it's like instantaneous.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I can
they should,
understand why they
or they should
did
at least
that.
have like a review button, like so you
Well,
can see
they
what they
do have a
did.
button where you can review the log of what they did.
Okay,
They do have that
okay,
option, but at the same time, it's like I kind of want an option where I can just change the speed at which they play, so I can
so you
actually
can see
see
it.
what they're doing.
Yeah,
Because there's been so many times where it's like I'm all of a sudden all I see is that the my opponent has like 30 damage on or 30 combat on board, and I have
yeah.
no idea how they did it.
Yeah, that's happened to me before too. I'm like,
Yeah,
you think you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden they bust out something like two or three cards, and then there's just red all over your screen. You're like, holy
yeah,
crap, and they just decimate you.
yeah. Although
I do.
I've done my fair share of decimating too. I think my record for the highest amount of combat I've achieved in one turn was 56.
Holy crap, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a couple games like that where I just all of a sudden was loaded up and just stomped them.
Yeah,
yeah,
Um, I am gonna. I've been playing it on my iPhone, and it's really hard to, let alone with the speed your opponent's playing, to learn tactics from that.
yes,
But
yeah,
reading the card text is incredibly difficult on mobile. It is
yeah,
even trying to blow up everything. It's still not very good, the type of text they're using, even when you blow up the card. Um, I'm gonna probably move it to the iPad, and I'll enjoy it more because I like trying to pay attention to the tactics. And I mean, I've only been playing a little. I'm on like the third stage of the campaign,
yeah,
and I want to get better at it. It's been just kind of a quick run through, do the math because I kind of get what the different types of things do,
sure.
but haven't been able to get far enough in strategy that I think I'll progress much further until I move it to a format where I can read everything.
Yeah,
yeah. Being able to actually see the cards is pretty important. But So I think we've covered pretty much everything for the most part. But for the physical game, it's again a card game that doesn't necessarily take up a whole lot of real estate. Fairly easy to get into. It's just this. It has a lot of depth to it, and this with the strategy, trying to draft the right cards and everything.
Right.
But the digital version makes it incredibly accessible. Especially since, like we mentioned, it has a free version, so you can download it on any platform for free. Try it out. If you don't like it, you haven't lost anything. But I would recommend getting the full version if you want a more robust and full featured version of it. And it's $5, and you can get it
It's not
once.
bad.
Yeah, once you buy it, like we said before, once you buy it on one platform, you get it on every platform. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to mention?
No, you got it, man.
All right. And you guys know what time it is? What time there's words coming out of my mouth?
Do you know what time it is? Question.
No.
All right. And this time around, we're going to do the higher or lower method. So, where'd my dice go? Where the heck?
Dice.
Yeah, I need to determine who's going to go first.
Oh,
Seriously, where the
lordy
heck did
moly.
my... Oh, it was
He's
behind my
turning
spaghetti.
40.
All you need is a coin for that, Sean.
Well, you and your technicalities. I don't have a coin
Dice
either.
are cool.
All you need is something that has two sides.
All right.
Dice test two
Zach's
sides.
going first. So,
Oh, do it again.
oh, I have... Why do I have two
You
D4 out
got a
here?
two-sided die again as a coin or a token.
Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. It's Zach going first. So this time I have 6 questions, and so to review, I'm going to ask you the question. You have to guess a number. If it's incorrect, the other person gets a chance to guess higher or lower.
Of course.
Yep. So we're starting with Zach. First
Easy.
question: how many unique ships are in Star Realms? And the range is between 20 and 29.
Oh my god, I'm tapping out. 26.
That is incorrect.
That's what I thought.
Ember, is it higher or lower than 26?
Lower.
Incorrect.
Ah.
There are 28 unique ships in the game.
Oh, close too, though, Zach.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I knew what it was. I just didn't.
There's a Corvette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, I have to have that.
Yeah.
All right, Ember, your question. How many outposts belong to the Blob faction? And the answer is between 0 and 9.
4.
Incorrect. Zach, is it higher or lower than 4?
God. I was just fighting the blob faction.
Now remember, it's how many outposts.
I know. More.
Is incorrect.
Is it really less? Man, my
Yep.
gut reaction was actually to say less, but then I was like, no, that can't be right.
Yep.
What are there, 2?
Nope, they don't have any.
What?
The blob? I just fought them. They had an outpost. The world
Blob-
is an outpost.
The Blob do not have any outposts, they have 3 bases.
Oh,
That's the distinction.
Well, you know what? I feel like that's cheating. How many bases do they have?
They have 3 bases.
Okay, so
Yeah, they
cheating.
have 3 bases, but none of them, they're all just regular bases. None of them are outposts.
Okay. All right.
That's why I
fine.
specifically said how many outposts.
Yeah.
All
Pat
right.
yourself on the back.
So no one has any points. Zach, going back to you.
Yeah, if you have to.
Pay attention.
What?
Excluding the scrap and faction bonuses, how many ships provide 6 or more combat? And the answer is between 0 and 9.
6 or more?
6 or more combat, correct. And like I said, that's excluding scrap or faction
Yeah.
bonuses, just their basic abilities.
I'm sorry, Ember, but I'm gonna say 5.
Alright, Ember, is the correct answer higher or lower than 5?
Higher.
Correct.
Ah,
Finally got a point on the board. It is 6.
see, I was so close.
Yeah.
Woo.
Alright. Ember, going back to you. Question number 4. How many cards do not have any faction bonus? Or any ally ability, I should say. And the answer is between 10 and 19.
Ooh.
Yeah, right.
13.
Alright, Zach, is the correct answer higher or lower than 13?
Man, my initial my gut was to say like much lower, but I'm gonna say higher. I'm gonna say higher.
That is correct.
Yes.
It's 16. There
Oh,
are 16.
I thought it was 11.
Yeah, there are 16 cards that do not have any ally bonus or ally
That
ability.
seems like a lot.
All right, Zach, we're going back to you. Okay, now we're tied up. I think 1-1.
Okay.
All right. Question number 5. What is the highest defense value found on bases or outposts? And the answer is between 0 and 9.
Bases and output. 8.
Right on.
Yes.
It is 8. I think there is. I think it's one of the bases in the Star Empire.
Yeah, I remember
has-
seeing one in the trade row, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow,
Yeah,
but it was really expensive. I couldn't afford it.
yeah.
Oh.
It costs 8 trade.
Yeah, I was like, no, I can never get this. But
Yeah.
it was cool looking.
Hello?
Hey, what's
Yep.
going on, Ember?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Hello?
Good to hear you.
Did we lose Ember?
I don't know, but I win by default if you did. So. She's typing.
Did we?
Interesting.
Oh, you could hear me. Oh, sorry. I guess there will be editing.
Maybe.
I cannot hear
Oh.
you.
Oh, that's stupid.
Well.
Restart Discord.
Yeah. Restart.
How many more questions do we have?
1.
She'll never come back. And I will win.
Well,
Oh,
you're
she's
at
back.
2 now.
Hello?
No, she's at
Can you
1.
hear us?
Hey,
Yes.
Okay.
cool.
Cool. Yeah, we have one question
Okay.
left, and it's for you.
Okay.
All right, and right now Zach is in the lead with 2-1. All right, so our last question, Ember. How many total cards does each faction have? And this is not unique cards, but total cards. And the answer is between 20 and 29.
$26.
It's incorrect. Zach, you automatically win, but is the correct answer higher or lower than 26?
Higher. Hate this game.
The
So
correct
like
answer
my
is-
Wi-Fi died and Zach got a point. How
I
did
did. It
that
was
happen?
a straight up guess. I said 28 and I was right. Oh no, I said 8 and I was right. 'cause
Yeah.
I actually did remember seeing that. But
Yeah, but the correct answer was 20.
oh.
Each faction has 20 cards each, and the trade deck is a total of 80 cards. And there's 4 factions.
Cheats.
All right, but
Okay, man. Well played.
yep.
Thank
so
you.
Zach got the win for that one, 2-1. Nice job.
I feel like it was a harder win. So good.
All right, and with that, brings us to the end of our workday. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. If you find value in our show and would like to support us, you can at patreon.com/parttimegamers. I have the new goals up. I still need to get the new rewards up, but we got some pretty cool ideas for you, including potentially custom-made coffee mugs and dice bags. So I'll get those up soon, and yeah, we'll go from there. You can also help us by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com, or on Twitter @PTGcast. You can find me on Twitter @Cyrenex or on Blizzard Battle.net with the battle tag Cyrenex number 1996. You can find the show and the rest of my work at caffeineinducedproductions.com. Ember, how about you?
I can be found at 9 of 12 on Twitter and Twitch. My Blizzard tag is 9 of 12 number 1102, and you can hear me on the Geek Grills podcast.
And how about you, Zach?
The old BlizzardNet battle tag, Zach with number 1466.
All right. Everyone, until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers, clocking out.